After 65, life becomes too precious to waste on the wrong people, even if they're family. You've earned your peace, your independence, and your right to spend your time however you choose. But sometimes, the greatest threats to that peace don't come from the outside. They come from relatives who slowly drain your energy, question your choices, or manipulate your love. These aren't always loud, obvious people. Sometimes, they're the ones who smile the most, offer advice you didn't ask for, or make you feel like you owe them your happiness. Let's talk about the ones you need to watch out for.
Number 1. The hypocrite.
This is the relative who's always preaching family loyalty, respect for elders, and doing what's right, but they don't walk the talk. They'll remind you of everything you didn't do, while quietly forgetting all the times they weren't there when you needed them. They want you to show up for every birthday, answer every call, lend every favor. But when you're the one struggling, when your health slips, or you need a ride to the doctor, they're suddenly too busy. And yet, they still want the credit of being the good family member. What makes the hypocrite so dangerous after 65 is how they make you feel like you're failing, even when you're giving more than you can. You begin to question whether you're being selfish for resting, or whether saying no makes you a bad sibling, aunt, or parent. But the truth is, the people who love you will never ask you to break yourself to prove it. Hypocrites want to be seen as noble, without doing the hard work of showing up. You don't owe them anything beyond basic civility. And when they try to guilt you, remember this. What they demand of you, they rarely live up to themselves.
Number 2. The guilt tripper.
This one's more subtle, but no less exhausting. They're experts at making you feel like you owe them your time, your energy, or your money, usually wrapped in stories of how much they've sacrificed. They don't ask, they hint. They don't demand, they sigh heavily and say things like, "Well, I guess I'll just figure it out on my own." The message is always the same. If you don't say yes, you're a bad person. For older adults, this kind of emotional manipulation can be deeply damaging. You've already spent a lifetime caring for others, raising children, helping siblings, supporting aging parents. This stage of life should be about rest, joy, and doing what fills your spirit, not about carrying invisible debts you never agreed to. The guilt tripper will never stop asking, because they've learned that guilt works. But here's what changes everything. It only works if you accept it. You are not responsible for someone else's happiness. You don't have to justify a no. You're not cold-hearted for protecting your time and energy. You're wise for it.
Number 3. The toxic caretaker.
Now this one is tricky, because they don't appear harmful at first. In fact, they may be the most helpful person in your life. They drive you to appointments, handle your paperwork, pick up your groceries. It starts out feeling like love, but slowly it begins to feel like control. They start making decisions without asking. They tell you what you should eat, which doctor to see, what medications to take. And when you push back, they respond with hurt, saying things like, "I'm only trying to help," or "You can't do this alone anymore." This is one of the hardest dynamics to recognize, especially because the person often has good intentions. But good intentions do not justify stripping someone of their independence. You may be aging, but you're not incapable. Your life is still yours to live, and your voice still matters. A true caregiver supports your decisions. They don't override them. If you notice someone slowly taking away your choices, even with a smile, it's time to step back. Ask yourself, am I still living my life, or am I being managed? If it's the latter, it's time to re-establish your boundaries and possibly your space.
Number 4. The money leech.
There's no polite way to put it. This is the relative who always has a crisis. And that crisis always involves your wallet. It starts small, maybe a short-term loan to help with rent or money to fix a car. But the emergencies never end. And every time you hesitate, they pull out the same lines, "I thought you cared," or "I'd do the same for you." Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But at this point in your life, that's not the question. The question is, what happens when you need that money? Retirement doesn't mean endless wealth. Most seniors are living on fixed incomes, and every dollar counts, especially when it comes to healthcare, housing, or travel dreams you've earned. The money leech doesn't see your years of hard work. They see a soft heart they can exploit. and they'll keep coming back as long as you keep saying yes. There's nothing wrong with helping family once or twice, but when it becomes routine, it becomes a drain. And when someone's only relationship with you is financial, that's not family. It's dependency disguised as love. Help with advice. Help with connections. But keep your retirement for yourself. You've earned it.
Number 5. The always right.
You know this one. No matter what you say, they've got a better idea. You mention trying a new walking group, and they tell you it's not as effective as yoga. You share a memory, and they correct the details. You talk about your medication, and they bring up an article they read that says you're doing it all wrong. It never ends. Conversations stop being fun. You feel like you're under review, not being heard. The real damage isn't the correction itself, it's what it does over time. Constantly being second-guessed chips away at your confidence. You start to question whether you're making good decisions. You hesitate before speaking, and eventually, you find yourself shrinking in their presence just to avoid the criticism. But your lived experience is valid. Your wisdom matters. Just because someone speaks louder or fancies themselves more informed doesn't mean they know what's best for you. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to live peacefully. When faced with the always right relative, remember this. You don't need to prove anything. Let them talk. Smile, nod if you must, but walk away knowing that your life is your own to guide.
Number 6. The drama queen.
There's always that one person in the family who treats every minor inconvenience like a full-blown disaster. A delayed package becomes a betrayal. A forgotten birthday becomes a declaration of war. They live in a constant state of emotional chaos, and they want you to live in it too. As you get older, this kind of energy doesn't just exhaust you, it affects your health. Stress isn't something we can afford to carry after 65. It impacts your blood pressure, your sleep, your heart, and your peace of mind. The drama queen doesn't want solutions, she wants attention. She stirs the pot, not because she's unhappy, but because it's the only way she knows how to feel important. You may try to help her calm her, even reason with her, but the storm always returns. And with every outburst, you feel a little more drained. Eventually, you realize you're walking on eggshells around her, just to avoid the next emotional explosion. The answer isn't confrontation, it's distance. You can still love her from afar. You can still be polite without being available for every emotional emergency. Your nervous system deserves calm. Your home deserves quiet. And your heart deserves rest. Life after 65 should feel like a sunrise, not a fire alarm. Don't let someone else's storm steal your sunshine.
Number 7. The silent competitor.
This one can be harder to spot. They don't argue or criticize. They just compare everything. You mention your grandson is starting college, and suddenly their granddaughter is already halfway through medical school. You talk about your new hobby, and they mention how they've already mastered it. Their stories always shine just a bit brighter than yours, and you leave the conversation feeling just a bit smaller. What makes the silent competitor so harmful is how they wrap their one-upmanship in politeness. They're not being rude, they're just sharing. But over time, their constant comparisons start to plant seeds of self-doubt. Am I falling behind? Did I raise my kids right? Have I done enough with my life? But here's the truth, aging is not a competition. After 65, there are no gold medals for whose grandkids achieved more or who traveled the most. The real victories are internal. Peace, gratitude, wisdom, the ability to enjoy a quiet morning with coffee and a book without needing to prove anything to anyone. The silent competitor is stuck in a race they'll never win because they've tied their worth to being better. Don't run that race with them. Walk your own path at your own pace. And remember, your life is not a scoreboard. It's a story, and it's enough.
Number 8. The perfect image relative.
They show up at family events perfectly dressed, perfectly poised, and perfectly filtered on social media. Their house looks like a magazine. Their kids are always successful. Their marriage always looks happy. And every conversation somehow circles back to how well they're doing. But behind the curtain, it's not always as pretty as it seems. The perfect image relative can make you feel like you're constantly falling short. Like your life, your simple, quiet, honest life, isn't quite enough. They don't mean to hurt you, but their constant showcasing can stir up feelings of inadequacy. You start comparing your clothes, your house, your health, your relationships. You wonder if you should be doing more, achieving more, being more. But that's the trap. What they show you is not their life, it's their highlight reel. You don't see the stress behind the smiles, the arguments behind the vacations, or the emptiness behind the need to always look perfect. The real danger is not in their success, it's in how their performance makes you question your own contentment. But fulfillment doesn't come from appearances. It comes from peace. It comes from knowing you did your best, even when no one noticed. It comes from quiet mornings, laughter with old friends, and the kind of love that doesn't need to be posted online to be real. The perfect image relative is chasing something that never satisfies. You don't have to. You've already arrived. And that brings us to the heart of this message. You don't get to choose your family, but you do get to choose who has access to your inner life. After 65, your time, your health, and your emotional well-being are not things to be wasted on people who make you feel small, guilty, drained, or invisible. You've earned this chapter of your life, and you have every right to fill it with peace, purpose, and people who truly value you. It's not about cutting ties or holding grudges. It's about understanding what adds to your life and what subtracts from it. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and even for them, is to step back, set boundaries, say no, and choose your well-being over obligation. Ask yourself honestly, who uplifts me? Who respects my time? Who makes me feel safe, seen, and supported? And who, even unintentionally, leaves me feeling tense, used, or unseen? This is not the time in your life to prove anything to anyone. This is the time to enjoy everything you built, to rest, to laugh, to connect, to heal. You deserve relationships that feel like sunshine, not thunderstorms, that offer warmth, not warning signs. So if you recognize any of these 8 relatives in your life, the hypocrite, the guilt tripper, the toxic caretaker, the money leech, the always right, the drama queen, the silent competitor, or the perfect image relative, know that you're not alone. Many older adults deal with these dynamics silently, believing they must endure them for the sake of family. But family should never be the reason you feel drained. It should be the reason you feel stronger. If this message speaks to your heart, let it be a reminder. You have the power to choose peace, to choose rest, to choose yourself. Leave a comment and say, I choose peace, because it's not just a feeling. It's a decision, and it's one you're allowed to make at any age. Until next time, take care of yourself. You hold the power within.